We are here today with Danon, chairman of the World Likud and former Israeli ambassador to the UN. Thank you for being here today, Dani.
Thank you for having me in the new studios of Arutz Sheva in Jerusalem. It's beautiful.
Yeah, very exciting. I'll dive right into it. You've been elected as chairman of the World Likud, after a difficult struggle with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And it is no secret that your relationship has had ups and downs. What would you say is your current relationship with the Prime Minister? Do you guys have cooperation with one another?
Absolutely. I worked very closely with the Prime Minister for the last 5 years when I served as Israel's ambassador to the UN. 4 out of the 5 years, he was also the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And now I'm in Israel helping and supporting the Likud party to win the elections. Hopefully it will be the last elections in the near future. And I support the Prime Minister. I think he knows my capabilities, supporting Israel, representing Israel in the world arena, and I intend to do that in my capacity as chairman of the World Likud.
Are you worried about the possibility that maybe the Likud won't be forming the next government?
I am because I speak with many people and I see that they have doubts. People from the right considering to vote either for Likud, for Bennett, for Sahar, and the possibility that actually Lapid will be the one forming the next government. So it's weird because in one hand we understand that the next parliament, the next Knesset, will be with a majority of conservative votes, which is great and I'm excited about it. But at the same time, the Prime Minister can be Lapid, who is center-left, and I'm worried about it.
Do you really suppose that the right-wing voters would be convinced to vote for Lapid rather for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and why would they?
I don't think they will vote for Lapid directly, but they can vote for Sa'ar, Lieberman, Bennett, and indirectly not giving the power to the Prime Minister to have the possibility to form a government. And that's what I'm telling them. If you don't want to vote for Likud and you want to vote for Lapid, that's legitimate. But don't vote for a right-wing party that is not endorsing the Likud, because you will end up giving your vote for Lapid. And I think that will be the struggle for the Likud to explain that message in the next 7 days.
I see. So with the current shifts in government in the United States, and Biden voted in as president, and his intent to renegotiate the Iranian nuclear agreement, how do you think this may influence the new and upcoming agreements between Israel and Arab nations in the region?
So I know that we do have the support of the US, regardless of the personality sitting in the White House. I saw it myself when I served at the UN when Barack Obama was the president, and also when President Trump was there. We always had the support. It wasn't the same, and I believe it will be the same case today. Regarding the Abraham Accords, I think it's the interest of the US to support the process, the momentum, and to help Israel to forge relations with more countries in the region. I personally have many friends in the region, in the Gulf, and I think we have an opportunity to open more embassies, to have a stronger alliance against Iran, and I hope that President Biden will continue with that.
Do you really think that President Biden isn't a threat to the Arab nations regarding their motivation to have more alliances with Israel?
I think the main question is Iran, whether the US will re-enter the JCPOA as it is, or they will actually demand a new agreement. I hope they will not try to appease the Iranians. That will be a crucial mistake. You cannot appease the Iranians. My advice to the administration is first to call the allies of the US, mainly Israel, Saudis, Egypt, Jordan, and the Gulf countries, consult with us, and then go and speak to the Iranians. I think that should be the approach, because we know exactly what the Iranians are capable of doing and what they want to do in the region. You just need to take a look at Lebanon today, and you understand what they want to do in the region.
So following that statement, is it possible that the prime ministers and others are exaggerating regarding the discourse on Iran? Could there be other issues that are more threatening to Israel than the Iranian regime?
The next prime minister of Israel will be the one to decide whether we are allowing Iran to obtain a nuclear bomb or not. That will be a crucial decision. So the voters in Israel actually choosing the leader who will decide if we are allowing Iran to become nuclear or not. The Prime Minister, together with President Biden, will have to reach a decision about that.
So I will go back to my previous question. Is it really a threat that there's a nuclear bomb? I mean, we haven't heard much about it. People have been focused on COVID. Is this really the biggest burning issue topic right now?
Indeed, indeed. History have taught us, when you have a radical regime who is threatening the Jewish people, we cannot take the chances of waiting and saying, let's wait to see what will happen. We will not be in that position again. We will not allow Iran to become nuclear. And if the US and the Europeans will not take the necessary actions, we keep all options on the table, and we have the capabilities from preventing Iran from becoming nuclear. We hope it will not be the burden of Israel to take care of this issue, but if we will have no choice, we will do it ourselves.
As the the Israeli ambassador to the UN and spending time in the US, what do you think the American jury thinks about the Iranian nuclear agreement? Would they support Biden, or would they encourage and push towards not renegotiating the deal?
In general, they are aware of it. They are aware of the threat to Israel, to the region, to stability. But you know, when you are so far away from the region, it's a different feeling. I visited the UAE a few months ago, and when we had discussions, they told me, Danny, for you it's not a threat because it's too far from Iran, but we can actually see Iran from here. So I think the proximity is an issue. So we are much more worried than our fellow brothers and sisters in the US.
What would be your message to the younger generation of the American jury regarding their relationship with Israel?
They should be proud about Israel. They should be proud about their Jewishness. They should be involved with Israel. I myself brought to Israel 100 UN ambassadors, and I saw the difference. So they should come to Israel, spend a year in Israel, study in Israel, and I think the more you learn about Israel, you get more connected, and you value what we have today. We should not take it for granted. We value their involvement. We value their ideas. We are one people.
Thank you very much to Danon, chairman of World Likud and former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations.
Thank you
for being here.